So here, at the end of 3 turns in Halmstad, I pulled the Danish line back, finally got to make ready orders for the infantry, so now we have something of a rational line along that river, or stream. The only problem is, I've got to get this cav back behind here, because as things stand, there's just not enough room to have anything like a reserve. Even if I do get them back here, I think there's going to be a trailing end, and there's going to be a problem, because the Swedes can then just slide down and face that. And I think I was better off up on the ridge. It's cool when I see that, the historical complaint about the leader begins to look like, I'm not sure he has a really good option here. We'll see what's happening, but the Swedes are more or less in pretty good order down here. I don't want to attack them. They're big. And of course, if I wait, well, what am I getting to? I'm going to get to the point where the infantry's there, and that's going to make things tougher. I think an assault is necessary, but unfortunately now I'm behind the stream. I think my poor Danish commander is wishing he hadn't advanced, and wishing a lot of things. But anyway, we can see why I tend to go with simpler decisions. So that Danish posturing gave them a lost unit. A Swede came out and charged as they were retrograding to try to pull back at the last unit and sent it to the dead box at basically no cost. Little formation action ahead and a pistol use. I'm trying out putting the pistols underneath the units. I don't know how well that's going to work, especially given that all the other information I tend to put on top except for casualty losses. This is what I'm used to, but we'll see if I like this better or not. Somebody suggested that this would be helpful to viewers, and if it is, it's probably helpful to me too, if I can handle it. At the beginning of the infantry, which is a gun, coming on the board. That's about it. At the beginning of turn 5, we've got the Swedes moving over to challenge this left flank on the Danes. The left wing of the Swedish Cav is kind of just sitting there. They formed up, they didn't have any other options, but they do not want to charge against this stream. They don't want to charge against the infantry, so they're going to hold and screen as the infantry moves up for the Swedes. That's their plan, at least. Got to reform these. It's going to be a slow process to build up to where an attack can be made. And meanwhile, the Danes aren't being completely quiet here. They're bringing their gun up, which they're going to start annoying the Swedes with. And they're also setting up along the ridge up here. But they're much more worried about being outflanked now. With their back against the river, that was an unlikely event. Of course, they could also die there. But I don't know how much safer this is. There's some room, but not a lot, and they could well end up losing units to the river that way. So after 5 turns here, the Danes have pulled back and tightened up their line a little bit. I realized I was I was definitely cheating. I don't know whether it had much effect when I did the cav interception. There's 2 terrain or battlefield conditions that are in effect here, both of which, one of them didn't affect it, which is that it's raining. And that means that all fire attacks are at -1. Nobody did a pistol shot except during combat itself, so that didn't affect anything. But that's going to reduce the effectiveness of the infantry. It's only the musket fire, right? Yeah, musket and cavalry. So the artillery is going to be fine, and this big gun that the Danes brought up is going to start being very annoying to the Swedes, I think. The second is that all the clear terrain is considered heath. And that has a few effects to it, one of which, well, two effects really, one of which is +1 to cavalry intercept rolls, making them harder, and the other is the cav momentum bonus is maxed out at +1, not +2. I forgot both those effects when I made my countercharge. The intercept roll, I don't know whether or not it would have worked. The momentum, I don't think that had an effect. I rolled very high. I rolled like an 8. We were at +4. Would have been a +3. It would have been up there anyhow. Alright, well, the infantry starts coming in this turn, and the real infantry as opposed to just the gun that's kind of crawling its way upward. And the Swedes have to start positioning themselves. I'm going to try to use that fancy tactics stuff. My plan was to try to slip around with this wing, but, you know, the Danes are listening in on the same conversations, and that's not good. So we'll see how it works out. Certainly, starting out at a handicap, having that one cav unit get knocked out was not a helpful thing for the defenders. But they did gain some ground. They have made it closer if they do get a chance to strike across and get out of here. And here, at the end of 6 turns, turn 7, not a whole lot. I mean, the infantry basically double timed. They got like triple activation. As soon as they moved up and tried to change formation, though, this artillery shot them and helped them on their way. The way column works for infantry is if it drops from, formation changes from column, it goes to formation broken. Now, the lead unit had already done that, and it had a chance of taking a casualty because of that. But the guys behind basically had to make morale checks, but otherwise they got their formation changes a little cheaper than they would have otherwise. Actually, let me see, he was here. He should have been able, make sure I got this right, he should have been able to rally this guy. Another level of formation. So he actually got sped up by that action. No big deal though. It's going to take a while for that infantry to form up. I don't know what situation is in the scenario, but I don't see how the infantry is supposed to get this far, or much further than it did. Swedish infantry wing. Yeah, they're in slightly better shape, of around 3110. A little further up. I don't know how they're supposed to do that. So definitely, I think they're entering a little late compared to what we're seeing, because it's going to take me a while to form up this line. That's a little weird. Move that right cav wing over here. This steep slope provides a little bit of a defense. The cav don't want to go charging up it, because if they do and get intercepted, they'll be formation shaken at that point, and that weakens them a little bit. So they kind of feel constrained to fight in this little gully that the Danes want them to fight in. Is that absolute? No. They could slide over again, and then the Danes would have to slide over and protect. that's about where we are. So, here we are in turn 7. Not a lot happened up here. Got the Swedish infantry trying to form up. Again, it seems to take longer, or too long compared to the starting point of the base scenario with the historical starting position from the battle. Another fire, a little bit, no real damage, just more units shaken up. But other than that, the infantry and that Swedish left wing, Danish right, nothing happening there. But down here, Eschberg, I don't know how to pronounce things, put himself into a charge position and started an attack. The Danes managed to intercept in both cases, I believe, yeah. And they had 2 cav units. One was destroyed along with its leader, of course. And the other one was knocked back after having intercepted once. It got attacked in the flank. I had to do a double attack on it at the same odds that a single flank attack would have been, but that was to prevent it from hitting this weaker unit. Anyway, I'll roll for continuation. Yeah, I might as well do that now. -2. On a charge is like 0 through 3, so 0 through 5, and no. So now, that's the end of the turn, actually. Because the one commander they had kept in reserve got knocked off the map.